speakers. He's filming all of our speakers' presentations tonight. You'll find them all online in a couple of weeks at foodtalks.ca, and all the films for all of our food talks are up there. So you can watch them and share them and email them to your friends. I also want to thank our volunteers tonight, Caro and Taylor, helping the registration and all that stuff. So now we will go into Q&A. So hopefully everybody's figured out something you learned from each of the speakers, whether it's mountain climbing or their local stories. So I just want to open it up, so maybe you can just raise your hand if you have a question.
Mark, I heard you're one of the few certified Cicerones in BC. I was just wondering what made you decide you wanted to take that course, and have you also benefited off it, career-wise, from being a certified Cicerone?
Yeah, it was something I did because I wanted to challenge myself. Cicerone, by the way, is like a sommelier except for beer. Has anyone heard of Cicerone? Well, I decided to do it because it was good for my career, and it gave me some cred, some way of saying that, yeah, I have the skill set. And Chester, who runs the exam here, is a friend of mine. He told me about it. I thought, oh, that'd be cool. Also, there's not many people that have done it. I think there's only 8 or 9 in Canada. And what it is you write an exam. It's an all-day exam where you answer questions, and you get to taste a whole bunch of beers and decide if they're good or bad or where they're from. And then you do a little practical exam. And my exam was to dismantle a beer tower and put it back together. You have 2 minutes. It took me 28 seconds. I said, what's next? So that's it. Test is over. Oh, cool.
Mark, what's a beer tower? What did you say?
Beer tower is one of these things. It's
oh, okay.
So, but Cicerone is kind of a way of expressing beer and food culture.
I thought somebody did Lego and.
No, it's a dispensing thing. So it's a way of articulating beer and beer making and beer culture and food and how they marry together. So that's, I think, a pretty neat thing to do. So that's a Cicerone.
For Themis and Shahab, so they started with agave, and that's what they've been doing. But I understand now that they're doing a bit more is coming out. So, what are your other products that you guys are doing now? There you go.
Yes, it's because I'm known for chocolate, especially hot chocolate. It's been a couple companies approaching me constantly to create recipes for the hospitality industry. And we'll be launching soon organic hot chocolate mix, no sugar. It's unbelievable delicious, and it's no sugar, guys. That's one of the advantages. Also, we're launching caramel sauce, because we are going towards the coffee industry, and our syrups is no sugar. They want now a caramel sauce with no sugar. This is the second product we're launching. And immediately, and we're launching hopefully for summer a lemonade mix, organic, no sugar. And this is the immediate products we'll be launching.
So cayenne pepper in the chocolate?
First we'll launch the hot chocolate with dark hot chocolate, and then after that we was the first company in Vancouver to start hot chocolate with chilies. And that was the second recipe.
What kind of sweetener do you use?
In this, all these recipes we're using agave, but it's this agave is powder. We are one of the first companies in North America who are using this. And it's a completely new technique because it's also very important, not just the ingredients, it's also the process after obtaining the ingredients. Sometimes they tell you, oh yeah, this is amazing, but they need to put chemicals into the process to get this product. And at the end of the day, it's worse than just getting sugar. Our products, we look very guys into how they produce them. That's why our products are a little more expensive. In fact, in the price we offer, our products are very affordable because we're making very little. Because we want the product to move. But at the same time, we have the highest quality. We pay very, very high for our ingredients.
If each of you could make a gelato flavor, what would it be? And for James, what is your favorite gelato flavor? Because you could make whatever flavor you want, but everyone else, what flavor would you make? And James, what would be your favorite flavor?
You know what? I think it's lemon. For me, lemon, because it's hard. if you don't put a, I think James will correct me if I'm wrong, but you can tell right away when it's not real lemon. It's very, I love lemonade woman. It's clean, it's pure. I love lemonade.
I guess I'll say it before somebody else says it. Bacon.
Overrated!
I think we have a ringer in the crowd because my answer is pretty easy. It's beer. We're going to try some in a few minutes. And what's special about this beer, it's made with a special acidic mashing process that I learned in a small brewery in Holtzkirchen, a little bit south of Munich. So I actually went there and learned a little technique that makes the beer special. I'm going to find out in a few minutes.
Those are my people over there. How about something with an
Hubbard
urban
squash?
tomato? Black crab.
What did you say? Covered squash.
Well, we actually played around, and we had a cast strength Isla whiskey, very peaty, 97 points out of 100, second best whiskey in the world. This gentleman made it, we served it, he was selling it at $100 a quart. We were talking about business partners, and I'd like to cash in some of that. So, Scotch.
I love the flavor combinations. It's great. In fact, so my favorite is really tough. I don't answer the question well, but if you asked what I've eaten the most of, I usually pair salted caramel with lemon. On the extreme side, I can tell Marcus, I just have to say at this point, Marcus is part of my success story. I was asked to compete in the World Championships at the beginning of 2012. And Marcus and I met at that point, and I asked him what should I do, and he said I should make a chocolate scotch. So I actually made a cake with the yogurt outside, with a chocolate scotch inside, with a raspberry beet filling inside that was the shape of the maple leaf. And one of the top prizes in the world for that flavor combination. And the other extreme one at that competition, it was on the front page of the Golden Mail, it's yours. The other one was for me is that I was actually asked to cook in a competition, so I did a foie gras with a pan-seared duck breast with Marcella wine and a vanilla bean. I paired that with a gelato combination. I did a white truffle gelato with black caviar. And then the second one I did after that was a chocolate sorbetto with a fresh pomegranate juice and Marcella wine. So do I have a favorite? Not really, but lemon and salted caramel I have more of, I admit.
Where did the caviar come from then?
What's the name of this black caviar with them seashelled?
Northern Divine?
Divine, yeah. They actually provided me with the caviar, and I took that to Italy.
Do you find yourself grappling with the business side of things a lot?
It's very tough when you're a sole proprietor and you start a cottage industry and you have failures and you have successes and you keep building up. And when we first started, we were a small little organization making about 300 meals a day. Now this year we're going to feed over 900,000. And you have to let go of some of your responsibility to others. My job is now done by 7 people. And it's only because it's become more intense. And you still have to maintain on top of it. You have to be able to market your product. We have an R&D department to develop those new products, guided by yourself. And your labeling, and all of the stuff that goes with it. It's never ending. And I think that you have to keep focused. And you have to get into bed with a good banker, a good accountant, and a good lawyer. Because those are 3 people that you're going to need on this part of your business to grow.
And I think that's well said. I think the biggest challenge in growth strategies is, and I'll speak for myself, we all do things that sometimes they feel simple and you move forward, but where we were able to get to so quickly was a bit of a story that remains around the world in awe of what we were able to do. And I give credit to Vancouver for a lot of that because they really encouraged what I did. But the future, where you get to once you have success, is where do you take it? That is such a difficult question for me. We have offers from Dubai to Shanghai to Manila, all over the world. People walk in with their jets and they're flying with their $1 million and they think they can buy you. Well, you know what? You cannot buy passion. You cannot replicate Artisan very easily. And so that has been a really difficult challenge for us. So I learned, as Marcus said, is about letting go, actually. You know, you are the person, you become that person, you're it. And it was difficult in the beginning to let go because you wanted to be perfect, your name was on it. And so you eventually start to let go of that ownership responsibility and train other people. And I learned slowly, and it got to a point very quickly in 2.5 years where that I learned that I became the brand. I became the face and the name around the world. I won the Godfather of Gelato status worldwide. Out of 14,000 students worldwide, I was named #1. And I started to think it was me, and I'm sure it was nice and all stuff. And I started thinking, I can't clone myself. And then somebody said to me once, a very famous person, I won't use his name out of respect in that, but very successful person in Canada. And he said to me, James, great business, incredible what you've done, amazing around the world. It's been about you. The next business is about your business. Because I can't be in 2 places at once. So that cloning technology has failed. Sleep deprivation is real. And at the end of the day, how do you let go and give it to other people? And I got to the point for my end is that I was trained. I learned how to do it. Why can't I train somebody else? So I eventually let go of what I was doing. And I started training more and more and more people to be able to do that, to the point where 55 days last year I traveled and competed in the world. And I was able to go away. And I remember the first trip, I was like, oh my gosh, it's not going to turn out. I can't believe I've let go of it. So really, I think in terms of growth strategies, it's about relinquishing control and trusting other people and training them. We actually formed a partnership with Gelato University in Italy. It'll be announced in Vancouver that the Carpigiani Gelato University will be coming to Vancouver for the first in North America. My technology was, and Marcus said to me one time, a long time ago, was, James, you put all these hours in, you can't keep doing this, you're going to have to get people to help you out now, right? So what we decided to do is do the cloning technology. We approached the University of Italy and said, everybody who goes to school in Italy, why don't you come and train with me? So now we're having everybody in North America come to train in Vancouver in my shop, and out of the best, I have cloning technology. I will open up more locations. But success is the most difficult thing to manage for all of us, of how you maintain the integrity of their quality without compromising the very essence of your soul. Because our souls are all about being the best. Every single day of every single breath we take in this group here, we strive to be perfect. And that's a burden that we carry, but it's fortunately one that has got us to a certain place in time where now we're looking at how we expand. I listen to these people here and I'm amazed at their stories and where they've come from. And for me, they're inspirations that push me every day. And I think that is when you have those role models, you can look beyond yourself and see, wow, we can always get better. Because we're not perfect. We can always be better. And I think that's the challenge we have as growth managers in our own successes.
We're a new business, so I'm not really in a very good position to answer that question yet, except to put a little bit of a different spin on it and say that growth isn't necessarily one of our goals. We don't intend to be the biggest, baddest, bestest, maybe a little bit bestest, urban farm in town, but sustainability, both economically, socially, and environmentally, is important to us. And there's only so big we can grow and continue to stay true to our values. And so for us, growth is a little bit of a different thing. For example, we only have 3 restaurant customers. We could have a lot more restaurant customers, but we're very picky about who we do business with, and we would rather have fewer restaurant customers that are very much aligned with our philosophies and run complementary businesses. And so for us, I think that's more of our growth model, is refining the business that we do, not necessarily getting bigger, but getting better and more specialized. If I figure out how to clone myself, that would be excellent. But I think, like the other speakers have said, letting go is going to be a big part of that, bringing other people in. And another big part of it for us has been working with other farmers. We incorporated an urban farmers co-op just recently. And so part of our model is it doesn't make sense for all of us to be growing every single crop on our tiny little plots. It makes sense for us to be really good at something. I'm pretty good at growing heirloom tomatoes. And so I'm going to let somebody else do the parsnips. And then we can share and pool our resources, like marketing, for example. You know, the local restaurants can deal with our co-op rather than individual farms, and we can all get really good at doing our things. And then we can rotate our crops and get really good at doing something else, but we're not all trying to do everything and be everything to everyone. And so for us in the farming community, collaboration and specialization, and also diversification is super important for us. We learned pretty quickly if you put something in a jar, you can sell it for 3 times as much. People are afraid of wild food, and we've been able to capitalize on that a bit. So now we tend to grow crops that if it doesn't go at the farmer's market, we'll put it in a jar and sell it to you next week for 3 times as much. So diversification, collaboration, these have been really key components to our business.
One of my colleagues here is talking about delegating and giving up stuff. Well, it's hard to do that when you're a sole proprietor, as I am. And so what I guess my main lesson is get a really good accountant. I hate bookkeeping. Get good software, accounting software, get a good lawyer, and get people around you that are really good at the stuff they do to free your mind to do what you're good at. And be not afraid to let go, and not afraid to give up control. I think probably the most important thing for any business is access to working capital. And making sure you have enough money to do what you need to do, ×2. Because the best way to shut down the business is not have enough money to fund what you're doing. And probably the most important thing, and it's a lesson I'm learning a little bit the hard way right now, is have really good salespeople around. Because you can have a warehouse full of great wine, but if nobody's buying it, it's getting old. And you have no cash. Really good salespeople, and getting people that are passionate. And surround yourself with people that are good at what they do, and free them up and pay them. Don't keep all the profits. Spread them around. And another thing that's been really important for me is to make sure that the people I work with in creative sense, other brewers, other winemakers, other chefs, I put myself beside people who are smarter, better, more experienced than me. And I'm really open to saying, I don't know, how would you do that? And gaining their influences. And sometimes you have to go outside your box. You have to get in a plane, go to Belgium or Italy, and put yourself beside people who are a lot smarter. And I guess my last and most important thing, especially as a winemaker and a brewer, is to get really close to your suppliers and hold them accountable for the product that they give you. In my case, if you look on the back of my bottle, you can see the name of the grower and the name of the vineyard. So there's a very sense of place for the wines, but also the growers are accountable. They can't hide behind my brand if they give me shitty grapes. So making sure that those suppliers are front and center in your brand, and they share some of the credit for what you're doing, I think is really important.
For us, what we did from the beginning is when we sit and decide this business, we start the business like a very big business. We said, you know what, we will grow, we know where we're going, and we know what we need. The first thing we do is we guarantee where we're buying our products. We pay them the highest to keep them happy. The manufacturers are doing for us the bottling in Mexico. We pay them the highest. Like we get all the quotes from the different companies we choose who we want to work with. But at the same time, they charge us, just to example, 25 cents for packaging one bottle. We give them 35, and we pay them in US dollars because they charge us in pesos. And do not make sense business-wise. But yes, makes sense, because the day we are stuck, they already pull us out from couple holes. They're working on the week. They don't work in Mexico. They don't work on weekends. Really, if you need a container, doesn't matter what happens. They will not work for you. But with us, because they know when we are really sharing all the good things are coming to us. If we are stuck, they work on the weekends, and they don't do that. They don't do that for nobody. The second thing is all the softwares we have. We don't have money because we spend everything in the things we really need. We spend in CRM programs. We spend in all the tools we require. We do every Monday we do our general meeting, just him and me. But we work like a company. We see our goals. We see it. We write it there. We still people. I know what he's doing. He knows what I'm doing. But I tell him we are the heads of the company. One day we'll have more people. And we have a lot of students come to us too. They want to do marketing because we do everything. Shahab takes care of sales. He focuses on sales. I do production, logistics, and the marketing we share. I create all the marketing materials, and he's the one who put them into work. And we have people who is involved with us, who's helping us. It's nobody charged, but everybody believes in the project. They see what we're doing. We're very professionals, and that's why they're behind us. And we tell them, guys, the moment we cash in, we're not cashing in just ourselves. Everybody who's here will cash in. And if they be putting their time for no money, that means they will be heads of our company. And I think creating, being fair with the people who work with you, they appreciate it and they will work harder for you. They see we are the first one to arrive all the time, we are the last one to leave all the time. Sometimes we work from 7, 8 in the morning until 9 at night. Unfortunately, we are not in the time to delegate because we don't have nobody to delegate. We delegate it to ourselves. But it's working. All our hard work is working. And the moment our company goes in real to hire people, I bet you the people who's working for us will start, you will hear people, oh, they pay great. They have a very good company. They really share with everybody. We really believe in that. Because it's not possible that you can grow if you don't share. And that's our answer.
You were talking earlier about an interesting model of bringing people to university for gelato here and getting everybody on board and learning the techniques. Do you have any kind of pressure, or do you feel anything about sending your recipes and what you're doing out to the rest of the world? Do you have a kind of fear that that will be properly replicated? I mean, obviously ingredients are everywhere different, but do you, in terms of creams and things, do you think that it's going to strengthen your brand if that's the direction you choose to go?
Thank you. That's a great question. And I said during my initial talk, the saying, and I'll say it again, I'm a custodian of an old world process, protecting it against an industrial world. I've said that 1,000 times. And the responsibility of that is to share what I know. I learned it, and I need to pass it on. An art is never as good if it stays with one person. An art is only good as if you pass it on to others. And the more that you pass it on, the more challenged you become, because when they get better, you get better. So sharing it is a really important value for me. There's a Grandmaster of Spain who is at my level, and he wrote a book sharing everything. I thought to myself when I read the book, why would he do that? It's because he wants me to be better than him. So I don't mind teaching everybody what I do, because I'm going to get better anyways. And the only thing that distinguishes you from, in my master's class I had 23 people from 17 countries, and I was still out there. Even compared to everybody else, we were in the same classroom, we all learned the same things, but they were not at my level. For whatever reason, they were themselves and I was me. So I can give you the same information that I work with, it'll never be the same product, right? Because it's not about 1 gram of this and 20 grams of that and 50 grams of this and steps 1, 2, and 3. At the end of the day, I don't mind sharing all of that. We have a saying, it's on the back of my shirt, it's kind of funny for those of you who speak Italian. In Italy, it's called Noi lo facciamo davanti a tutti. In English, it means we do it in front of everyone. Now, when an Italian says Noi lo facciamo davanti a tutti, and you say it in English, we do it in front of everyone, you might think it's an open kitchen. But an Italian doesn't talk about an open kitchen when they talk about doing it in front of everybody. So we openly show everything to everybody because we want people to learn. We are only as good as the industry itself, and if I can help promote it by giving away, there are no secrets, by the way. There are no secrets. It's passion that separates us from everybody else. People can repeat what we do. We don't own what we do in a lot of ways. Somebody can make pure agave syrup, somebody great wine, somebody can be an urban farmer, somebody can be an entrepreneur and do food and whiskey. They can do that, but you can't replace them as individuals. It's the one thing that separates us from everybody is that passion, that desire, that quest to be the best. So sharing what we do, you bet. I'm okay with that. Am I worried about it? Not really. At the end of the day, I'm happy for people to challenge me. I'm happy if they can get better than me, because at the end of the day, you all get better. The more that we get pushed as individuals and improve our product, and if somebody tries to make it better, the end result is the consumers benefit. So I'm more than happy to give away these secrets because I don't own a thing. I'm merely a custodian of an old world process, protecting it against the industrial world. It gives me great honor to protect it, preserve it, but it's not about me, it's about passing it on to the next person. That's my job.
Listen, your ideas do get stolen. And big companies will take your products and dissect them and make them themselves. And the only way that you can stay ahead is keep above and beyond their capability and thinking. research and develop a new product lines years ahead of the other competitors and be able to change quickly. Big companies can't do that. And James, you are the keeper of your secrets. And sometimes you get all the recipe but one ingredient. So they always have yours as the best.
So where can you get your vodka?
Up at the bar here afterwards.
That's an easy answer.
Richard, let me tell them about the sorbetto. Okay,
yeah.
You want to explain the beer? Because you're gonna have a chance to taste something that's pretty crazy. It's a beer sorbetto, and we're gonna talk about the beer, and I'll tell you what we made for it, and then you're gonna taste it.
Well, first I'm going to ask James when I hand him back the mic to tell me the difference between ice cream, gelato, and sorbetto. I kind of know, but I want to really know. But the beer we're going to try tonight is, well, I've just told the story a little bit, but it's a dark lager inspired from Central Germany, and it's from back to the theme of copying recipes. You can never copy a recipe. A beer or wine or ice cream or a piece of kale or agave syrup, they're like a sunset. They're never the same twice. So you can hand the recipe to someone, but really it's about the artist and who created the painter, who holds the brush. That's where the creative energy is. So the recipe really means nothing without the person who's expressing it. So, you know, this ice cream is kind of a sunset. It's some beer I made one day with some sorbetto he made another day, so we're just going to have just one sunset, and it may never be the same. However, if you like it, we could probably make one like it another time.
So the biggest question we get asked all the time, the difference between ice cream and gelato. Okay, if you're Italian in Italy, you can call it ice cream. But over here, when we think of ice cream, we think of Ben & Jerry's, Lucerne, we think of all the traditional ice creams. Now the difference, so you can say gelato, which means Italian ice cream. The difference, 3 key differences, and it's really key important about these. Ice cream on average has between 28 and 30% fat. Gelato, 7. So you can eat 4 times as much or just not feel guilty. The second difference is the amount of air. Like whipped cream, for example, you take 1 liter of whipping cream, you put it into a bowl, you turn on a blade real fast, and 40 blades turn real quick, and that liter becomes about twice the size. Ooh, magic, how to do that? It's air. It's called overrun. So when you put in 1 liter of whipped cream and you get 1.4 liters, you get 40% air. Ice cream. Ice cream on average has 60% air. So 60% of a bucket is filled with air through a process. Gelato, less than 15. So you can take a bowl of gelato and put beside it a bowl of ice cream, and the bowl of ice cream looks twice as big. Do you get more? No, they weigh the same. You get air in the other one. Air is good for breathing, not necessarily eating. So again, 60% air for ice cream, less than 15% for gelato. So less fat, less air. And the third final difference is temperature. Ice cream served at -22, really hard, and that gelato served warmer. Doesn't freeze your palate. So less air, less fat, and a lot warmer. So that's the 3 differences. And if you're Italian, you can call it ice cream. I'm not Italian, so I call it gelato. Oh, and the beer sorbetto tonight. The beer, so that tonight you're going to taste a beer sorbetto. Sorbetto is water-based, gelato is milk-based. Okay, so this is a sorbetto, and the beer is absolutely amazing. So going to University of Italy, I did specialize in chocolate and alcohol infusions. That was really smart. So I was able to take the alcohol and transform it into a dessert. We didn't reduce it. We didn't cook it down. We used the pure beer, and you will taste the beer in the sorbetto itself. There are no artificial emulsifiers, no artificial stabilizers. There's no tricks other than an old system that I learned when I was in Italy. So there's no allergies. There's basically sugar, carob, inulin, which is chicory root, and beer. And there's a process that I use to infuse those all together to make it into that using different temperature ranges. And it took us about 4 hours to make a small little batch. We made 4 liters at a time, and I have to give tribute to the beer. It really, I learned how to do this. I'm probably one of the few people in North America know how to use it, but really the tribute is to the beer maker. Because the beer, when you think about it, you take 6 bottles of beer and you're going to add a whole bunch of water to it, you should wash it out. But if the beer's spectacular, you will taste that beer in the dessert, and I have to give tribute to you. The beer is amazing. It's just like the scotch that I did. The scotch, to be a 5-star chef, you use 5-star ingredients and process. 5-star chefs don't use 1-star anything, and I'll give tribute to everybody here. They're 5 stars, and the beer, tributes, man, it is a great beer. Thank you. I'd love to sample more.